Good morning. It is June 28th, and it is the time for I Read the Clermont Sun so you don't have to. And this is the June 26th edition of the Clermont Sun. And I have to say, I'm very mixed on this one because this is either the worst Clermont Sun since I've been doing this, or it's the best Clermont Sun since I've been doing this. And let me explain why when I take you through this week's Clermont Sun. So the edition this week is from June 26th. Here it is. Okay, the June 26th Clermont Sun. And it is 12 pages. Again, I think we're permanently at 12 pages versus I think when I started doing this, it was more routinely at 14 pages. We're routinely at 12 pages in the Clermont Sun now. All right, so this one, let me zoom in here. I'm going to look at the first two pages to start with, and let's go on why this is the worst Clermont Sun, the worst Clermont Sun edition since I have been doing this. The worst is because this June in Old Day Williamsburg, I know this is a distinction without a difference. so Old Day Williamsburg, okay, is this is like the lead news story in all of Clermont County for the week, this press deadline of June 26th. I've learned that the actual press deadline's a day earlier. I think would have been on Monday the 23rd, but we'll look at that on when we get through here. So so there is this article about weekly construction update down at the bottom here, which I'll hit on. But this story on Old Williamsburg is 2 pages. Like the lead story is on some parade in Williamsburg that is 2 pages. I'm not against the parade. I'm not against Williamsburg. I used to like the old Firehouse Brewery. But 2 pages basically on this is the number one lead story. So we're going to do a news scorecard for what news is in this actual paper. So you've got the Old Day Williamsburg thing. All right. There we go. Some pictures. It doesn't say, I don't believe, yeah, it doesn't say where the pictures even came from. My bet is that these were submitted pictures versus that there was anybody actually covering this, even though but maybe, I don't know, maybe this Maria D'Aquila, maybe these are her pictures, but they don't say where the pictures came from. I would bet maybe these are her pictures. We know Megan Alley never covers anything in Clermont County other than from afar, but maybe this person does. And nothing against her. She's the community correspondent. I'm just like, is this the number one story in Clermont County? Is a long ass article about a parade and an event in Williamsburg? I mean, so is St. Veronica Festival going to be like the lead story this upcoming week? It's going on this weekend, so why doesn't it the lead story? Why don't we have 2 pages on the St. Veronica Festival? I would bet you the St. Veronica Festival draws as many people as this event. Okay, so why is this, so prominent? Again, not against the event, not against it having news coverage. I just don't think this is the lead news story for Clermont County for the press date of June 26th. We've got the weekly construction updates. This is how Megan is now, her articles are becoming more pathetic. So they're summarizing stuff from the engineer's office with the graphic provided from the engineer's office. God forbid Megan Alley would get off her ass and go, maybe some of these construction projects, at least I could put a picture. Hey, Megan, it would fill in pages. It would fill in pages by just putting pictures of construction projects. But I digress. So we've got a whole second page about this. Look at how long this article is. I mean, an article on the Japanese attacking Pearl Harbor wouldn't maybe this long. And I mean, it's nothing against it. It's just like, are you kidding me? It's just crazy. So now you have page 3. We're up to page 3. Community calendar. Let's see how the events roll here. I didn't look at this before. Oh, they're good. They're at least in the future. I mean, they've been better. The last couple editions have not had events that would have been already taking place prior to not have taken place prior to the event you ever getting the paper. But there's some stuff in here. I see that my buddies at the Parks Board are having another meeting. That would be interesting. Where Andrew McAfee doesn't live in Clermont County, but is representing business on the Parks Board when Andrew McAfee's never owned or business. So anyway, let's keep rolling here. Okay, so we've got these other things, the crossword, all that kind of stuff. Sudoku. All right, now we're into opinion. We got a story on the Korean War. Okay. All right. This is more of a column. It's not opinion. Okay. It's a column. Okay. And, just like the column on, the Williamsburg event. So then we have the proverbial John giving us some article about more money for vets. All four vets, 100% for vets. I'm looking for John to ever write an article where there could be cuts or improvements in services. The Elon model that he did at Twitter cut 80% of the fat and actually deliver a better product for unbelief for 20% the cost. Where's that, John? Okay, it's always just the same stuff. And John just has a permanent, at least this time he only gets one article. Normally, John is now getting a couple articles to fill pages. And then sign off on letters, defend Medicare Advantage. Okay. Let's keep, this is going to, I don't know, all right. So a bunch of NGOs, non-governmental organizations that basically are funded by the government, like the Clermont Chamber of Commerce, submit this letter because they get involved in policy when they are funded by the government. Okay, that's what makes NGOs so crooked, is that they become advocates for more government and they're funded by the government. Your my tax dollars fund these people. And people ask me, how does this happen? How does this happen? Well, last time, I haven't checked this time, but several years ago, going back probably 4 or 5 years ago, the county, for example, paid $30,000 a year for memberships for its people to the chamber. That's how they do it. Okay, they buy memberships. So all the government groups buy memberships using your tax dollars. That's one of the key ways that they fund these organizations. And then the organizations basically become in servitude. And this is why, for example, you go look at I pointed this out, the county calendar, like almost half of it is chamber events. Okay. But these aren't government events. Okay. So we use this NGO to block people out of the events like they do with me, Andrew McAfee, who's an unethical guy, doesn't live in Clermont County, increasingly a weirdo. But they're funded by the government. So it's an NGO. It's what conservatives would scream about with Democrats doing it. But when they do it, when Diamond Dave Painter and the other people are doing this, they're all for it because they want to be protected. They want to have a shield and a spear. They want to be able to use these NGOs to make sure that citizens are blocked from having access to elected officials. It's disgusting. Okay. And then we have an article on Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Okay. But everything else in here, and this is on the spirit of worst ever. Everything else I think is pretty much submitted. So submitted about Elder Abuse Awareness Month. Okay. All right. By the way, I don't want to sound horrible here to say this, but if you had an article actually highlighting examples of elder abuse, that would be not. I'm not saying that's a great, but people would read it because it would be like, oh my God, I can't believe this stuff is gone. Examples of cases of elder abuse, kind of like cases of animal abuse. Okay, if you read actual cases, you get much more engaged. This is just pablum articles these people write. And I'd like to know, even though it sounds a little bit morbid, but I'd like to know, what's actually happening in our county. Like, how prevalent is this? What are some examples of some bad cases of elder abuse that have happened in our county? That would be news. That's news. This is just pablum. This is propaganda. This is Pravda. Okay, we just have articles submitted by the government. So I'll go back here. We've got the NGO submits articles. We've got this one. Oh, by the way, let me go back here real quick. I just noticed this looking at this today. It says news deadline is Monday at 3 p.m. The deadline used to be Tuesday at I don't know if it was, I thought it was like 5, but it was like Tuesday. Now it's Monday. And it may have been Monday the whole time I've been doing this, reading this, but it was Tuesday back in the day, like 3-4 years ago. I knew that for sure when what was his name? The guy who was, I could picture him, that was the Megan Alley of the day. It was Tuesdays was the deadline. Okay. Then we've got some more submitted content. Okay. Heat essential to, again, blah blah blah, pablum pablum. Why would you pay for this, by the way? Why would you pay to get to read pablum articles submitted by Mercy Health? I just don't get it. Okay, it's launch of historic restoration plan submitted by Ohio River Way. Okay, so I don't know I love this where they have these long ass URLs. Like, look at right here. Okay, let me get the right mode. Like, you're going to sit there, somebody's going to sit there and type in this URL on their computer to go look at whatever this is, um, you know, but that's the, okay, whatever this is. I didn't really read this, to be honest with you. And then we go to Jake Dowling, of course, the one guy who appears to not be in a zombie condition at the Sun. And so local pictures taken by Jake Dowling. Let's get how many pages of content here? One, two, 2 pages. I think the last page is, let me go here. Basically 3 pages of sports content, all because of Jake Dowling. Is what's his face's article in here? The Matt guy's article, the Dollywood guy. I don't see his article this week. Maybe he's at Dollywood. Maybe it's in here and I missed it. Yeah, so we've got good content, and you got to love Jake getting out there. I'd love to meet Jake. If I knew when he was going to be at a sporting event, I would come to it, just so I could meet him. I would buy him a soda and a hot dog if he wants it. And so then I'm going through the payola section here. This is the other part I want you to be aware is because of law in Ohio, another way the government, you wonder why the press is the way it is. Because there's laws, for example, that say that the government has to advertise in the paper of record. And so as a result, the government runs multiple pages of relatively high cost ads in these papers. And that's how the papers become subservient to the government. Because if the government then, if like Clermont County got mad at the Sun, they could go run their government required ads, legally required ads, antiquated system, in the Enquirer, for example. And I'm sure the Enquirer probably costs more than the Sun, but then effectively put the Sun out of business. And, so the Sun is dependent upon these government ads, and it's pathetic. And so that's why they're subservient to government. That's why you never, ever, 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 ever read an article in the Clermont Sun critical of the government, because they rely on the government to be funded, just like the chamber. The chamber is not funded by businesses. Businesses pay into it, and probably half or more is funded by the government, but the other half is the government. And the government's one big vote. If they suddenly pull their ads, if the government pulled all their ads, then the Sun is out of business. Okay, so let's go back, to here, and I want to get to why I think this is could be the best Clermont Sun. I've given you a lot of why it's the worst. Okay. And we've got people signing from West Clermont. Okay. So that's a article. Did Jake write this? Yeah. Jake Dowling wrote this. I wanted to see if it was submitted. Okay. Nope. Not even this. Jake handles it. I'd say this about Megan's article. She doesn't even have any in this paper, but Megan's article, she phones it in so bad she doesn't even take a press release and then call the people back and ask a couple questions to put in some local content in an article. She's too lazy to do that. So anyway, Jake hits it here. There's photos provided, but Jake's byline the article. I bet you they provided a lot of this content, but Jake is a real reporter as far as I could tell. So he turns it into his own story that it was his byline with the input being provided through the press release. Okay, versus just rerun the press release like what Megan does. Okay, so that is page 12. All right, so before I go on, I'm doing good on time here. And I want to talk just for a second about why I think this could be the best Clermont Sun, okay? The best Clermont Sun. I've shown you a lot of reasons why it would be one of the worst. But let me go. I want to go look at something else here. I'm going to put up on your screen this. Okay, and this is why it could be the best Clermont Sun. So this is on June 18th. There was this big bullshit dog and pony show relating to the shelter that took place at the commissioner meeting. And where did it go here? So let me go here. It's not, I don't see it shown on my screen. There we go. Okay. So it's this big dog and pony show. Everybody's thrilled. Kiara's there. Kiara's not allowed to do any interviews Kiara's just allowed to do dog and pony shows, be smile for the camera shit, bring the cute dog. Okay. Talk about how we're doing some adoption events. Let's remember, I didn't write them down, but I can probably remember all the ways that our shelter is effed up. It has something on the order of 38% less hours. Don't quote me exactly. These are all going to be almost perfect numbers, but I might say one a little wrong. 38% less hours. It has dramatically less intake and output of dogs. It has no cats at all. It has at least half of the staffing that it had the last year of the private operator, Clermont Cares. Okay, so it spends something at least 2.5 times more taxpayer money than it did before, and it has given up $1 million a year in fundraising. It has given up $1 million a year of fundraising. These are just factual things, okay? But we don't talk about any of those in our commissioner meeting because Diamond Dave Painter and the Painterettes won't let that be talked about because they have totally train wrecked this place, and now they got some sucker girl woman to come in there and, okay, we're going to have a honeymoon now. We're going to have a honeymoon that this is going to get fixed and it's going to be better. And now the only thing they really have to talk about is we're doing some adoption events. I'll give you an idea. You can do adoption events. I'm all for adoption events. Okay. I'm all for them, 100% for them. But you know what? Opening the frickin' shelter on Sunday would be more valuable than adoption events, right? Think about that for a second. The shelter is not open at times when people are not working. And therefore, in order to even adopt, you'd have to take a day off. And our shelter is, I'm going to use a word that people aren't allowed to use, but I think they're allowed to use now, is retarded. And it's idiotic. You're not allowed to go in the back and see the dogs. You have to pick them out of a mugshot book. It is so stupid. It is so stupid. And there's still no plan for cats, which is a personal pet peeve of mine. But they did this. This is why. So let me get back to why this might be the best Clermont Sun ever. They did this big dog and pony show at the commissioners meeting. Okay. And they were so excited with themselves that they issued a press release. So I'm on their press list. I get this. They almost never issue a press release like this. Okay. But they're wanting, I'm sure Diamond Dave's wanting, we got to get some unbelievable great coverage about how awesome we are. Okay. And let's all forget about the unbelievably diminished throughput. No cats, 38% less hours, spending 2.5 times more money, and giving up $1 million of fundraising. Let's forget about all that. Kiara's nice. She seems nice. We got a cute dog. Let's talk about this. Oh, by the way, let's also remind her, let's hold up a plaque about we're a no-kill shelter. Guys, you were a no-kill shelter statistically all the way back to the even Devon era. This is a distinction without a difference. You were already this. You're up there celebrating. It's like 1984 George Orwell. Like you're reinventing that past history and making it appear that you've done something that you haven't done. It was already done. There's been no real change. It's the same. Okay. But anyway, so they have this big press release. Okay. And, and they're all excited. Ursula Miller, the propagandist, has this, press release. Okay. They blasted out right after the commissioners meeting. All right. So why am I so saying that this is a big deal, that this is a big deal. Okay. And I'm saying it's a big deal. Why this could be the best Sun ever is it's not in the Sun. Okay. They did, I think what would normally be just a Sun cut and paste, give some pictures, they could have been, frankly, the Sun, so this is why I'm confused. The lead story in the Sun is about a Williamsburg event. Okay. The story about the shelter and supposedly Diamond Dave's shelter plan now working out isn't even in the Sun. And the county did a major propaganda effort to put this out as a press release that's screaming, put it on the front page of the Sun, but it's not there. It is not there. Maybe it'll be there next week. Maybe they'll call up the Sun and say, hey, you need to run our articles like we tell you to, just like you run our Mark DeCalvi articles, but it's not there. So either it's a major, to be honest with you, I'd put it as just a screw up on the Sun's part that they didn't run the propaganda article they were supposed to run when told to run it. And, so it could appear next week, but maybe let's hold out hope that the Sun is maybe saying, we're not just going to run propaganda articles. Okay. Maybe the Sun should do an actual article on the shelter that covers all of it. Maybe the Sun should do a sit down with Kiara and ask her, what are you doing about the Kiara, what are you doing about the lack of the reduced hours? Okay. What are you doing about the lack of fundraising? What are you doing about the throughput issues? What are you doing about the spending being 2.5 times as much? And what are you doing about the fundraising? Hopefully, I didn't say one twice there. These are the real issues, not whether we're no kill again. We were already no kill. Okay. And not whether we're able to bring a cute dog to the commissioners meeting. Who the F cares? That's not the point. The commissioners meeting isn't an adoption event. Okay. The commissioners meeting is a management event. And Kiara is probably not allowed to talk. She might not be capable. By the way, that would be the thing too. Kiara might not be competent to be able. She's green, she's come from Brown County. She seems like a nice person, but she might not be competent to have an actual plan. So let's put it there. Kiara's not competent to address the real issues, so she's got to parade around with a cute dog and talk about whatever pablum David Painter once talked about. All right. So that's why I think the paper could be the best. To be honest, I think it's just a mistake that the Sun didn't follow orders to run an article they're supposed to run. But I'm going to hold out hope that that the Sun is actually developing some spine and going to say, hey, no, if we're going to do an article on the shelter, we want to do a real article that deals with real issues, not just a propaganda press release. All right, so that has brought us to the Jungle Jam ad. And my music is not wanting to start. And I don't know why. We might not get any Jungle Gym music this time. It's not wanting to play for some reason, my Jungle Gym theme music. So I'm sad about this. So anybody who's listening now, or if you're listening on replay, make Jungle Gym noises. Let me see if it plays this one. It doesn't want to play any audios right now. So it's taking a break from playing audios. Okay, so let's look at the Jungle Gym ad and go ahead and make some gorilla noises and shit by yourself so that you can feel like you're in the jungle with Jungle Gym. Again, I'd like to highlight, I'm not being paid anything for highlighting Jungle Gyms. Jungle Gym can figure out where to contact me if he wants to give me some free wing sauce or something for this. And I do highlight every time that Jungle Gym is in the print editions, at least that you pick up at retail. So he's paying to have an insert. There's only a few places you can actually buy this paper in Clermont County. But I have no idea why he is not in the electronic version. You can subscribe to the electronic version. I do. And I don't understand why he doesn't get his ad put in there. I mean, if you're paying, it's stupid. Okay. If I were him, I'd be, guys, this is ridiculous. Put my ad in your electronic edition because I'm paying for it to be in your paper. All right. Other than the government, I think Jungle Gym's the number one advertiser. I'm sure Jungle would love to have a better option for getting to more people in Clermont County than this. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this music. I can't understand why my music won't play. I'm so super sad about that. Okay, so what do we got at Jungle Gyms this week? Okay, some good fruit stuff. I'm actually going to call there. The buy two get two. Is that Pepsi only or Pepsi products? If that's Pepsi products, I'm in the car. Okay, because I can get myself some Mountain Dew. Okay. But I would assume that this is just Pepsi itself, in here because I'd love it to be Pepsi products. So maybe it's Pepsi products. I'm going to go. I have to go over there and get some beer probably this weekend because, Jungle has an unbelievable variety of beer. And I don't drink fancy beer, but the beer that I do drink, you can't get it at like Walmart and stuff like that. So I always go to Jungle and enjoy going there for that. I know the Jungle Gym layout good from the back entrance. Okay, so we got some good lunch meats and stuff, some great meat options here. Man, that pork roast looks delicious there, doesn't it? I love somebody. I'm not a good cook. I'd love one of my neighbors to cook that up for me. And it looks really good. And then we got Oreo. Oh, lemon cream Oreo. Okay, I love the white Oreos. In there. I'm not a fan of the lemon cream, but it looks like, by the way, it looks here like there's some things that you have to buy through the app, these exclusive app deals. So, get the app, download the app and listen to the podcast. I've never actually listened to the podcast, but every Wednesday there's a podcast. Look at that rump roast. That looks pretty good too, doesn't it? On the alligator, I'll pass on the alligator. I get to see alligators in Florida and that's enough for me. I'll pass on any whole fish, but you may love that. As I say, I've avoided in my whole life ever being served a fish with the head still on it. Great produce options at Jungle Gyms. Um, some lunch meat options at Jungle Gym. Some of their own potato salad and other things. I say when I'm going to go over there that I'm going to get some of this stuff, and then I run in there. I pick up my beer. I get all excited. I check out. I head home, and then I forget to go to the deli and all that kind of stuff. I got to get my wife to go there with me so that we can remember to go get all this other stuff so we can try out these products. Maybe next week I'll try out one of his products live here. Um, we've got the Sweet Baby Ray's. Everybody loves Sweet Baby Ray's. I didn't know that honey barbecue sauce. I didn't even know there was another flavor. So, okay. And some drinks, some party cups. I don't know if those are the little dink ones for sure. Those look like big ones. Okay. We always do a lot of those. And then Red Baron pizzas, $4.99. To be honest, that seems like kind of like the same price they would be, or even more than a Walmart. But anyway, some Dean's dips. So all Dean's dips. Okay, so this one's clear. It's all of them, right? Selective varieties. Okay, I hope that means all. Look at the Jungle Gyms bakery products. Maybe that's next week. I got to run over there and get some bakery products, and then have some bakery products and natural foods down here. And we're probably getting. I think we're on the last page here, and don't forget seniors every Wednesday. It says on their website you need to have a Golden Buckeye card. And then finally, let's go down here. I see what kind of Mexican Coke. Okay, I thought that got deported. Okay, just a joke. Usually some goofball toys, not goofball, interesting toys. Always interesting toys. Little golden books. I had a full set of little golden books, and there was actually one. I think a cousin has them now, where the title of the book was "Make Way for the Thruway." Honest to God, the title of the book was "Make Way for the Thruway," and the cover art on the book was a bunny rabbit and like an old woman watering flowers with a highway getting ready to come through. And those were the days. Those were the days. Make Way for the Thruway was a book, and I think a cousin has it now. We gave the set to somebody, somebody else, and I hope they still have that one. That would be a great one. Wouldn't you love to reprint some of the old golden books before everybody got all so thin-skinned and whatever? Okay, so then you've got the Sesame Street stuff and some other plush things, and then pop. Okay, different kind of interesting pops. Obviously, if you want some different kind of stuff, Jungle's a place to go. It's the only place you can get this kind of stuff reliably. And then finally, the beer. Like every week, they got Natural Light. We need a sale on something else. We need a sale. Jungle, we need a sale on something other than Natural Light. I mean, I try to get the wife to drink Natural Light so we can save some money, but she ain't going for it. So, but we got a couple of wines, and obviously, Jungle has a fantastic beer and wine, and even the liquor store in there. Fantastic selection. All right. So that is what time we're looking at? 9:30 exactly. That is I read the Clermont Sun, so you don't have to. It's either the worst Clermont Sun ever, the worst Clermont Sun ever, or it's the best Clermont Sun ever if they consciously said no to just printing some propaganda piece on the shelter that the county obviously was wanting picked up in the news media. So that is it. Thank you. And I'll figure out what the hell's going on, why my jungle music wouldn't play. I'm very disappointed that this happened, and I apologize to anybody who listened or listens